And the first of the Vietnamese who were found dead in the back of a truck in Britain are brought home. Now, more than $100,000 has been raised by crowdfunding to help the families of the 39 Vietnamese illegal migrants. And this follows reports that the families were offered loans to cover the repatriation costs. Now, we have here to discuss crowdfunding Mr. Nizam Ismail. He is the CEO of Ethikom Consultancy, and Nizam has worked with leading global financial institutions and international fintech firms.
Yeah, Nizam, thanks so much for coming in and speaking with us.
My pleasure.
In this instance, where the crowdfunding is to repatriate bodies, are there pros and cons to crowdsourcing or crowdfunding?
Well, indeed, there are competing considerations. Well, fundamentally, it's a very powerful mechanism for reallocation of capital within society. It empowers donors to give. It empowers beneficiaries to receive the aid that they need. So you go to the very heart of human kindness. In the case of the unfortunate deaths that we saw in Essex, there was a very strong emotive pull, and we saw how technology enabled or empowered donors to give in a very efficient manner. So that's the key benefit, efficiency. You are really leveraging on technology and social media. Are there risks? Definitely there are. I think one key risk is that of fraud, and that's really brought about by underlying considerations of accountability and transparency, really brought about by the asymmetry of information between donors on the one hand and the recipients on the other. There are also issues of transparencies or fees or charges that may be imposed by the platforms itself or by persons who are actually mobilizing the donations themselves. And you could also reach a situation where you have multiple fundraising campaigns. Ordinarily, it's a good thing, but it could have a perverse effect of raising funds which are disproportionate to the amounts actually needed by those in need. There are also risks which are more associated with technology risks. For instance, the security of payments that you make on these platforms. How secure are they? Or are there cybersecurity risks?
So all these mechanisms are open, obviously, to the pros and the cons, as you've just elaborated. But how prevalent are scams on crowdfunding? Can you actually put a figure to that?
Well, I can't say definitively, but there are clear examples of people abusing what is inherently a good thing. Unfortunately, people abusing the fact that there is information asymmetry and really, abusing the strong emotive pull of a good cause. Sometimes people who actually start a crowdfunding campaign end up pocketing all the proceeds. Or there are also instances where the platform, you're not sure that for every dollar that you donate, how much of it actually goes down to the beneficiary, or other hidden charges. But I think let's not be alarmist about this, because I think fundamentally it is a very good thing. And even if they are largely unregulated, we do know that for some crowdfunding platforms, they have inbuilt mechanisms to mitigate against the risk. For instance, there are platforms out there who have got arrangements where if they detect or suspect anything untoward, they will actually refund the donations back to the donors.
And do you see any role that traditional charities and NGOs can play in cases like this that are a bit sort of more unusual? You see, for a lot of these charities and NGOs, the appeal of leveraging on a crowdfunding platform is inherent. You are leveraging on something that's efficient, the risk is immense, and if you have a very strong pull or a cause, you can raise funds fairly quickly. But I think we're now in a situation where, in order to mitigate the risks, I think it is really incumbent for those that are seeking to raise funds to do very robust due diligence on the entire process of crowdfunding, find out more about the fees, and there's also a role for the public to ask the very tough questions. Who's actually raising the funds? Do you have their contact details? What are the exact fees or charges, and how do you assure yourself that there is accountability in that every dollar or a good part of the dollar that you donate actually trickles down to the beneficiaries? Yeah, go in with your eyes open. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Nizam, for chatting with us today. Nizam Ismail, CEO of Ethikom Consultancy.